Hi, those on TikTok. Hello. Okay, good. So I take it you all can hear me. Okay, let's continue lah. Okay, let's get started. Okay. So today we're going to go through the topic of coordinate geometry. Okay, coordinate geometry. One of those topics that's tested at the O levels. I believe many of y'all would have been introduced to this chapter or this topic in secondary 3. Okay, if you're doing if you're doing e-maths at secondary level, then this would be something that you would see at secondary 3. So what is it about? Okay, so coordinate geometry, basically it's that topic where you have your y-axis, and then you have your x-axis, and then you have either a straight line or sometimes you have a curve. This all falls under coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry. So first question. Okay, let's see how many of you all have done this in school and you're familiar with this topic. But if you're not, it's okay. We're here to take things slow and master maths. Okay, so let's see where you all are starting from. Let's see what the starting line is for many of you all. Now, what is the gradient of a horizontal line? What is the gradient of a horizontal line? So horizontal line, some of you all might be asking, what is a horizontal line? Okay, so is it A 0, B 1, C infinity, D what is a horizontal line? So yeah, maybe if you're joining me on TikTok or you're joining me on Instagram, what do you all think, and what do you all think the gradient of a horizontal line is? Okay, maybe just shout out your answers, A, B, C or D. Leave me a comment please, and then let's see what you all are saying. MasterMaths on Instagram, anybody? Gradient of a horizontal line, or cannot remember? Okay, someone says 0. Okay. Anybody else? Any other answers? Okay, let's see those people on TikTok. Haven't gotten any comments from you guys on TikTok. Okay, let's see what the answer is. So what is the gradient of a horizontal line? A horizontal line looks a bit like this. Okay, it's a can you all see this? It's a line that runs across like this. Okay, so this is a horizontal line. This is a horizontal line. Can see, so if I were to take out my ruler, the good thing about this Notability app is that you can use rulers. Okay, so let me draw it in red for you. This is a horizontal line. Okay, this red line here, this is a horizontal line. So the gradient of a horizontal line is 0. The gradient of a horizontal line is 0. Okay, so if you got the answer as A, well done. The answer is correct. That's A. It's A, 0. Now, what then is the gradient of what then is a line that has a gradient of 1? If you have a line that has a gradient of 1, what kind of line is that? Okay, anybody would like to try? Okay, so my question, so what line is this? What line is this? If you have a gradient of 1, what line is it? Okay, leave me a comment. Anybody? Okay, so if you have a line that has a gradient of 1, okay, the line is going to look something like this. okay, it's going to look like this. Okay, so you see my ruler, I'm setting it to 45 degrees. I set my ruler to 45 degrees. Can you all see the 45 degrees there? Nampak? How to make 45 degrees? There we go. Okay, can see 45 degrees. Okay, so 45 degrees, if I were to draw a line, okay, this line over here, let me take away the ruler. This line over here will have a gradient of 1. It will have a gradient of 1. So basically a line with a gradient of 1 is a line that makes a 45 degree angle with respect to your x-axis. Okay, so going back to this thing here, okay, let me remove this curve. Okay, if I were to have a line that cuts across the origin, okay, that doesn't look quite right. Okay, if it cuts across the origin like this, okay, it creates a 45 degree line, it creates a 45 degree angle with the x-axis. This line, your gradient is m, guys. Gradient will be 1. Okay, so just now we were asking about a horizontal line, right? So horizontal line is a line that cuts across like that. This one, your m will be, your m will be 0 lah. Okay, your m will be 0 for this. Okay, then what about option C? What kind of a line has a gradient of infinity? What kind of a line has a gradient of infinity? Anybody can tell me? Those on Instagram or TikTok, anybody would like to test their knowledge on this? What is the name of a line that has a gradient of infinity? Okay, very good. On TikTok, we have someone who mentioned that a line with a gradient of infinity is a vertical line. Okay, yeah, absolutely right. So turn this until it says 90 degrees. And then, okay, say I have a line here. This is called a vertical line. Vertical line, you can see that, is that clear? Okay, vertical line. Okay, that probably is clearer. Okay, so vertical line, your m will be infinity. Vertical line, your m will be infinity. Alright? Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so before we go into the next question, here we talk about 3 types of straight lines. So three types of straight lines. You can have your horizontal line, okay, where your m or your gradient is 0. You can have your vertical line, where your m is infinity. And you can have your 45 degree line, where your m is equals to 1. So of course, m can take on other values besides 0, infinity and 1. M can take on other values besides 0, infinity and 1. Your m can be negative. Your m can be 10 or 15 or half. Okay, so we will go through later how you come across, how do you calculate your gradient. Okay, so here we go. So there's formulas here to be learned, gradient and length. Okay, so we will go through those formulas. And then at your y-intercept, your x is equals to 0. Your x-intercept, your y is equals to 0. What does this mean? Okay, we will go through that in the questions to come. Okay, so these notes here will only make sense when we go through the questions. That's why in maths, it's not enough for you to have knowledge of formulas and, you know, knowing about the theory. You have to practice. Very important that you practice. Okay, guys. Question number 2. What is the gradient of the line? So let's zoom in here. So you have a line here. And on one end of the line, you can see here. On one end of the line, you have A, which has coordinates of -3 and 5. At the other end of the line, you have B with coordinates 4 and -2. So, for those of y'all who are unaware, how do they come up with these coordinates? Okay, let me maybe do a quick recap. When you see there's a -3 over here, what does this -3 mean? A bit hard to see. Okay, maybe I highlight. Okay, maybe that's better. Okay, you can see. So there's a -3 there, and then there's a 5 there. Okay, there's a comma in the middle. Okay, so what does that -3 mean? That -3 means that the x coordinate of that point, is -3. Okay, hold on. So let's say I drop a line down. Oh, the line is straight. Okay, let's say I drop a line down. This point here will be minus 3. Okay, so that this is the x coordinate. So I write there lah, x. Okay, then this 5, this is your y. So if you see, if you take a line here, you extend all the way to your y-axis, this will be 5. Okay, so that's how they come up with the coordinates of that particular point. The coordinates of that particular point will be -3, 5. -3, 5. Okay, now what about B? Same lah. B, this will be your x, this will be your y. Okay, so if you drop a line or you draw a line upwards, you can see it touches the x-axis at the marking that says 4. Okay, and then if you draw your line, if you draw your line towards your left, okay, towards the y-axis, this is -2. So you have 4 over here, you have -2 over there on the y-axis. That's why your coordinates will be 4 and -2. Why am I stressing this? Because I have seen students in the past, what they sometimes will do, they will confuse the x coordinate with the y coordinate. And this becomes a huge problem when you want to find the gradient of the line. You cannot confuse the x coordinate with the y coordinate. So when we say coordinates, when we talk about this coordinate system, this thing is called a coordinate system, a Cartesian coordinate system. I mean, of course, you don't really have to know what it's called. But very important, you must know certain things like, okay, if I take any point here, okay, let's say I take this point over here. Okay, this point over here, let's say I drop a line down. There, this is 6, right? So this point, the x coordinate will be 6. And then, if I go to the y-axis, it will also be 6. So the coordinates of this point over here, 6, 6. Okay, 6, 6. So always be familiar with this lah. This thing is very important. You need to know, you need to be familiar with it. Okay, now we are going to ask this question: what is the gradient of the line? What is the gradient of the line? So for those of y'all who are not so familiar with the formula for gradient of the line, let's go through one more time. I mean, I've not gone through yet lah. Okay, but let me just go through for y'all. Okay, the gradient of a line, the formula is rise over run. I know you all must be asking, what's rise over run? Okay, so when we say rise over run, rise is a change in the vertical segment. Okay, a change in the vertical axis. So this is your y1 minus y2. Run is a change in the horizontal space. Okay, a change in the horizontal space. So this will be x1 minus x2. Okay, and the thing about gradient is, it doesn't matter whether you put y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, or if you decide you want to use y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, both also can. Okay, both will give you the same answer. Okay, let me write that down here. Both will yield the same value. So very easy for you to memorize lah. Doesn't matter whether you memorize y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, what is the 1 and the 2 here? 1 and 2 here, they are subscripts. They are what you call subscripts. So you find that to find gradient, guys, to find gradient you need to have 2 points. You need to have 2 points. So when you have 2 points, you will have 2 values for y. You will have 2 values for x. But the important thing is, you cannot do this. You cannot do y2 minus y1 over x1 minus x2. This one cannot. This one is out. Okay? Do not do this. Okay? You will not get the answer. And also, do not do one more thing. Some students, they make careless mistakes. They put the x1 on top. They put the x1 minus x2 on top, y1 minus y2 on top. Y1 minus y2 below. This one also cannot. So these are the common misconceptions or the common careless mistakes that we find when we're teaching coordinate geometries to students. We find, sometimes their gradient is wrong. Why? Because they have not memorized the formula. Their formula is wrong. Okay, so the formula again, y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Either one is fine. Remember, rise over run. Rise over run. Okay, so we got 4 options here. Minus 1, 1, minus 2, and 0. I think you all can tell straight away that the answer cannot be 0, right? Okay, come. Who says it should be minus 1, 1, or minus 2? A, B, or C? What are your answers? Give me your answer now. Drop me a comment, please, with your answer. What do you think the answer should be? Anybody? Well, today a bit quiet. Maybe everybody is in the holiday mode already. Because 2 weeks time will be 1 week holiday, right? We will be having our term break. So maybe you guys might be going on holiday. Okay, we have a respondent here on Instagram saying that the answer is minus 1. Okay, I've not tried it out myself. Let me try later and see whether you're correct or wrong. Okay, let's go on to TikTok and see whether we have anybody giving any answers. Mr. Phenomenal says minus 1. Okay. Rooks of 241 also says is minus 1. Says that is A. So I believe the answer should be A lah. Engseng 2024, thank you. You're saying this is a Sec 2 topic, okay? So yeah, if your child is in Sec 2, or if you are someone who's in Sec 2, so perhaps you would have gone through this in school. Okay, let's see whether the answer is minus 1 or not. How are we going to do this? Okay, let me firstly erase all these things over here so that I got some space to work with. Okay, Bismillah, let's do this. Okay, so now if I were to find my gradient, okay, Just now I say what? y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, right? Rise over run, right? Okay, so what are the y values? Let's go and investigate. Okay, the y values, I have 5. You can see here, I have 5. I have minus 2. I have minus 2. So I'm going to take 5 minus negative 2. 5 minus negative 2. Don't forget the negative lah. The negative sign is important. So 5 minus negative 2 over. Okay, so do I start with minus 3 or 4? Because just now I took from 5, right? Because just now I took from 5. So now I must also take from minus 3 first. So I take from minus 3 first. I have negative 3 or minus 3 minus 4. Okay, so what will this give me? So I will have 5 plus 2 in the numerator and minus 3 minus 4, which is negative 7 in the denominator. Now you know that 7 over negative 7 excuse me, 7 over negative 7 will give me negative 1. So the answer is negative 1. So actually a lot of you all already know this. No need for you all to join my live stream. No, just kidding. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday evening. I know many of you all might be more tempted to, watch TV or maybe call it a day, go to sleep early. But the lot of you all who are joining me, thank you. I'm very touched. Okay, so the answer is A, minus 1. A minus 1. Okay. Let's go on to question number 3. It says here, the line H, whose equation is 3y equals to 9 minus 3x, intersects the y-axis at the point A. Find the coordinates of point A. Okay guys, so in coordinate geometry, when we talk about lines, all these lines have an equation to them. I don't know if you all remember, in my first lesson 2 weeks ago, we went through about quadratic equations, right? So you remember that one of the first questions we had in quadratic equation was whether this particular equation, y equals to x squared plus something, whether the curve, is it a smile or a frown, things like that. So what does this tell you? It tells you that every line, whether it be a straight line or whether it be a curve, there will always be an equation to it. Okay, so for a straight line, your equation is always in the form of y equals to mx plus c. Okay, y equals to mx plus c, where m, this is your gradient. So just now, remember when I was trying to find the gradient of the line in the previous question, I wrote m, right? So m is like universally agreed. This is what we will use for gradient. Okay, so in your maths, when you write m means gradient. Now what about c? C here is your y-intercept. Okay, C here is your y-intercept. Okay, so typically you will have an equation that looks like this. There we go. Can you see or not? Okay, 3y equals to 9 minus 3x. Okay, I highlight for you. So this is your equation here. And one time I look at the equation, I know this one is a straight line. This one is a straight line. How I know it's a straight line? Because it is in the format of y equals to mx plus c. Okay? But, be very careful. You can see here that the y there is not just y. It's got a 3 in front of it. It's got a 3 in front of it. So if I'm going to rewrite it, this is how I will rewrite it. I will put it as y equals to 3 minus x. Alamak. This thing blocking. My face is blocking. Hold on. Let me move this thing. I hope you can still see me. Okay, so y equals to 3 minus x. Why y equals to 3 minus x? Because I have divided left and right with the number 3. 3y I divide by 3, I get y. 9 minus 3x I divide by 3, I get 3 minus x. Okay guys, so this is the equation that I have. I know from experience that this is a straight line graph because it is in the format of y equals to mx plus c. Okay, who can tell me? Let's see whether you all are paying attention. What is the m in this case? For this particular equation, what is the m? Anybody? What is the m, guys? The m here is not 3, the m is not 3, Let's see if anybody on TikTok can tell me. Mr. Phenomenal has got it correct. The m is minus 1. Why is the m minus 1? Because the m is always attached to the x. M and x they are like a couple. They are inseparable. So in a straight line, the equation of a straight line, you will find that if you want to know what the m is, just find the x. Look for the x. Where you see the x is where you will find your m. So here, my x is negative x, which means to say that my m is minus 1. Then what about the 3? What is the 3 then? The 3 here is your y-intercept. So this is your y-intercept. Okay, plus 3, and then this thing here is your gradient. Okay? Okay, so very important. This is a very important skill to have when you are doing coordinate geometry. When they give you a curve, when they give you a straight line, the equation of a straight line, you must be able to figure out what is the y-intercept and what is the gradient. Why do we need to figure that out? Because see, now they tell you that this line intersects the y-axis at the point A. Ladies and gentlemen, what is this thing we call the y-intercept? The y-intercept is where the line cuts the y-axis. Where the line cuts the y-axis is known as the y-intercept. Okay, let me write that down so you all can copy this down also. Where the straight line, actually it doesn't have to be a straight line, it can be a curve also. Where the straight line cuts the y-axis is the y-intercept. Okay, so where the straight line cuts the y-axis is the y-intercept. So here, the y-intercept is 3. But they are asking for coordinates. Alamak. Okay, sorry. So when they are asking for coordinates, we have to give your x coordinate and your y coordinate. Now, what do we know about the x coordinate for any line or any point on the x-axis? Let me ask that question here. Okay, let me ask that question here. Okay. What question? What do we know about the x coordinate of any point on the y-axis. Okay, let me see if I can move this somewhere else. Add a page. Okay. Okay, guys, who can answer this question? 10 bonus points to the person who can answer this question. What do we know about the x-coordinate of any point on the y-axis? Let's see if you all are paying attention. Mr. Phenomenal, what do we know about the x-coordinate of any point on the y-axis? Guys online, what can you all tell me? What do we know about the x-coordinate of any point on the y-axis? Doesn't matter whether the point is here or there or anywhere. As long as it's on the y-axis, what must you know about the x-coordinate? Thank you. I got one answer here. I got one answer on TikTok. Okay, any point on the y-axis, the x-coordinate will be 0. Let me write that down. For any point on the y-axis, the x-coordinate is 0. Okay? Burn this into your brain. It's very important. So, if you know this and you've understood this, then the next piece of information should be easier for you. But we will not touch on that now. It's about any point on the x-axis. Because remember, in your Cartesian coordinate system that you are doing when you are doing secondary school maths, there will always be a y-axis and there will always be an x-axis. There's two axes, dual axis system. Okay, so x and y. So if you understand that any point on the y-axis, the x-coordinate is 0, then it should tell you something about any point on the x-axis. What about the y-coordinate of any point on the x-axis? Okay, but we will go into that later. Okay, let's try and solve this question here. So we know that point A is on the y-axis. We know that point A is on the y-axis. So therefore, this is out lah. Why do I say this is out? Because look at that. The x-coordinate here is 3. So if the x-coordinate here is 3, then obviously this cannot be point A. Because we've already said, right, that for any point on the y-axis, the x-coordinate must be 0. So it's either A or C. Okay guys, do you think it's A or C? What do you all think? Should it be A or C? I've narrowed it down for you already. I've narrowed it down for you to A or C. So you all think, is it A or C? Mr. Phenomenal says C. Okay, any other answers? Guys, please like and share my video. Today doesn't seem like a lot of people are tuning in. Okay, like I said, could be the holiday mood. Because our 1 week break is just 2 weeks away. For those of y'all in schools in Singapore, your school holidays are around the corner, right? The 1 week break. But if you're taking O levels this year, I think that 1 week break will not be much of a break. You will need to study very, very hard during that 1 week if you want to catch up. Okay, so the answer is C. The answer is C. Okay, so why is the answer C? Because my y-intercept is 3. So when my y-intercept is 3, that means that the y-coordinate for a point on the y-axis, the point on the y-axis which belongs to the line, the y-coordinate must be 3. So maybe if I were to draw it, let's see I were to draw it out. Okay, it will look something like this, guys. Okay, so just now we said that for a line which has a gradient of -1, it will be a 45-degree line. Correct? It will be a 45-degree line. Sorry, a line with a gradient of 1, not -1. A line with a gradient of 1 will be a 45-degree line. But this is now, the gradient is -1. So for negative lines, your line will look like this. It will be downward sloping. Okay, so let me draw it here. It will be downward sloping like this. Okay, downward sloping, and this angle here will be 45 degrees. Why? Because the m is equals to -1. The m is equals to -1. Okay, and this point here, this is point A. This will be 0,3. Okay, 0,3. Why? Because as we said the y-intercept is 3. So the equation looks like this, right? Y equals to 3 minus x. Alamak, again my face is blocking. Y equals to 3 minus x. I can see y equals to 3 minus x. So as I mentioned just now, let me just repeat myself. The m here, which is your gradient, is -1. Your gradient is always attached to the x. Is always attached to the x. Okay, maybe I adjust my laptop a bit. See if that helps. Okay, this might be better. Okay, so this is your y-intercept. This is your y-intercept. The number here next to the x will be your gradient. Okay, so that is question number 3. Okay, the answer is C. Those of you all who got it correct, well done, congratulations. You are well on your way to scoring good results in your upcoming maths exams. Okay, those of you all who cannot get it, don't give up. Don't give up. Sometimes maths, it takes a lot of reading. It takes many hours of struggling, trying your best, doing practices. Okay, doing as much as practice as you can, doing as many questions in your 10 series as you can. At the end of the day, it will bear fruit. Trust me. At the end of the day, it will bear fruit. Okay. Let's go on to question number 4. Let's see how many questions we have. 4, 5, 6. Okay, we got 3 more questions to go lah. Okay, so I think maybe we need to quicken the pace a bit. Okay, the line H, whose equation is 3y equals to 9 minus 3x. Looks very similar. This is the exact same question as just now. Exact same equation, but different question. Now they are not asking for the y-intercept. They are asking for the gradient. They are asking for the gradient. But we already did the gradient just now, right? So everybody should know lah. What do we do here? We have 3y equals to 9 minus 3x. Very important, the coefficient of your y. What is coefficient? Coefficient is the number in front of your y. The number in front of the y here must be 1. Okay, I'm going to write that down here. You all take note. The number in front of y needs to be 1. Okay? So take note of that. So you have 3y equals to 9 minus 3x. You cannot happily tell me, oh, Coach Nawaz, gradient is minus 3. No. So you must take the 3y, you divide by 3. You get y. And then whatever you divide on the left hand side of an equation, you must similarly divide on the right hand side of the equation. So this will give me 3 minus x. Because 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. Negative 3x divided by 3 gives me negative x. So now after you've done this, you realize, okay, I got y over here, I got 3 over here, and I got negative x over here. Where is my gradient? They say gradient. Your gradient is always found next to your x. Your gradient is always found next to your x. So the gradient in this case will be negative 1. So if you got your answer to be C, well done. Okay, the answer is negative 1. The gradient of the line H here is negative 1. If you have any questions, you can drop a comment. If you have any feedback on how I'm teaching the lesson, if there's anything that you think I should be touching on a bit more, I'm all ears, guys. This is a very relaxed, casual session. Please, share with me your thoughts. What do you think I can do to improve this live stream? Okay, let's move on to the second last question we have tonight. Okay, which is question number 5. There we go. Y equals to mx plus c. So this is I will write it down here. This is the equation of a straight line. Equation of a straight line. Okay. So find the equation of a straight line that is parallel. Why suddenly they talking about parallel all? That is parallel to the line 6y equals to 12 minus 5x and passing through the point minus 1, 8. Okay, so I give you all some time to figure it out. Is the answer A, B, C or D? Okay? Answer A, B, C or D? Okay, any answers from those at home? Any answers? You all think it's A, B, C or D? Okay, so for it to be parallel, or what does it mean? Okay, let's talk about parallel lines. So parallel lines are lines that share the same gradient. Okay, I shall write that down. Parallel lines are those that share the same gradient. Okay? Can you see that? Parallel lines are those that share the same gradient. So when they share the same gradient, it means to say that the m is the same. So you see in your straight line graph here, your straight line, the equation of a straight line here, you have y equals to mx plus c. You have y equals to mx plus c. And you know that your m here is referring to gradient. So, okay, just to provide a bit of a background, if I were to have y equals to 5x plus 4 and y equals to 5x plus 8, these two lines, they would be parallel. Okay, they would be parallel. Why? Because this is 5, this is 5. Okay, you all know what parallel lines are? Parallel lines, that means pointing in the same direction. Pointing in the same direction. Can? So this is another interesting thing about coordinate geometry. When you are trying to find the relationship between certain lines, you might be comparing their gradients. Okay, because looking at the gradient of one line with respect to another line, you might be able to say, oh, these two lines are parallel, or these two lines are perpendicular. So when will these two lines be perpendicular? Okay, that one maybe for another session. Okay, but for now, to answer this question, you need to first know that parallel lines, they share the same gradient. So 5x plus 4, 5x plus 8, these are all lines which have the same gradient. The same gradient they have here is 5. So they are parallel. So, how do we find the equation of a straight line that is parallel to the line 6y equals to 12 minus 5x and passing through the point negative 1, 8? Okay, firstly, look at this equation over here. Okay, this equation over here is 6y equals to 12 minus 5x. 6y equals to 12 minus 5x. Again, there is something we need to do, right? What do we need to do here? Before we can figure out the gradient of the line, can anybody tell me? What do we do with this equation here? 6y equals to 12 minus 5x. Can we simply use 6y equals to 12 minus 5x? Okay, Mr. Phenomenal says you have to divide by 6. Someone else says you need to have single y. That means I assume he or she means that the coefficient of the y needs to be 1. So absolutely correct. You need to divide your 6y by 6. Okay, which is what we're going to do. Okay, so you have 6y equals to 12 minus 5x. We are going to take the 6y and divide it by 6. So we get y equals to 2 minus 5 over 6x. Okay? Okay, let's take a closer look at this. So you have 6y, you divide it by 6, you get y, isn't it? Divide by 6. Divide by 6. Now, what happens to 12 when you divide it by 6? You get 2. What happens to 5 when you divide it by 6? You get 5 over 6. Or in this case, minus 5 gives you minus 5 over 6. This minus 5 over 6 is the important one here. So minus 5 over 6 is your gradient. Okay, let me highlight. This thing that I'm highlighting in red, this thing here, this is your gradient. Any line that is parallel to this line must have the same gradient. Any line that is parallel to this line must have the same gradient. What gradient will that be? Minus 5 over 6. Okay? So, let's look at all the equations here that we have. Okay, so the first one is y equals to 5 over 6x plus 7 and 1 over 6. This one out lah. Why out? Because the gradient here is 5 over 6. It's not negative 5 over 6. So this one cannot. Out. B is y equals to negative 5 over 6x plus 7 and 1 over 6. This one can. Because why? The gradient is negative 5 over 6. We are looking for equations, or we are looking for lines where the gradient is negative 5 over 6. Negative 5 over 6. But look at C. C also same. The gradient is also negative 5 over 6. So we need to do one more step. We need to figure out whether the answer is B or C. Because right now it can be B, it can also be C. Because the gradient is the same, right? Negative 5 over 6. So what else do they tell us? What other information do they give us? They say passing through the point negative 1, 8. Look at it. Passing through the point negative 1, 8. So this is where we can solve. Okay, how? So we know that every straight line graph, or straight line curve, every straight line, the equation is in the format of y equals to mx plus c. Mx plus c, right? So here we know that your m is going to be negative 5 over 6x. Okay, negative 5 over 6x, because it says here that the line is parallel. You're finding the equation of a straight line that is parallel to the line 6y equals to 12 minus 5x. 6y equals to 12 minus 5x. So when I take 6y and I divide it by 6, I get y. My 12 minus 5x gives me this thing here, 2 minus 5 over 6x. So because it is parallel to this line, I know my m is going to be minus 5 over 6. Okay, minus 5 over 6. However, I need to go and find my c, right? I need to find my c value. How do I go ahead and find my c value? The way I do that is by substituting in the value for y and x. I have to substitute in the value for y and for x. Where do I get the value for y and x? It comes from here. Why? Because this line passes through this point, negative 1, 8. It passes through the point negative 1, 8. So this will obviously go into my x. This will go into my y. So let's see here. Y is 8, right? Okay, so 8 equals to negative 5 over 6. Is it 1 or negative 1? It's negative 1. What happened? Oh no. Sorry guys, slight technical error. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, great. Okay, so x is negative 1, not 1, negative 1. Plus c. Don't forget your plus c, Don't forget your plus c. Okay, so can I solve for my c now? Can I solve for my c? Yes, I can. How do I solve for my C? C will be equals to 8 minus 5 over 6. Okay? Why? Because, okay, maybe I shouldn't have skipped the intermediate step. Let me do one more step. So you have 8 equals to 5 over 6 plus C. Okay? This negative 5 over 6, when you multiply with negative 1, it becomes 5 over 6. Negative 5 over 6, you multiply with negative 1, you get 5 over 6. So your C here will be 8 minus 5 over 6. And 8 minus 5 over 6 will give me 7, 1 over 6. So therefore, my answer should be B. Okay? This is my answer. Because why? Because here, the y-intercept is 7, 1 out of 6. So the answer is B. Answer is B. Okay, let's go on to the last question for today. Find the equation of a straight line that is parallel to the y-axis passing through the point 5, 4. So they are asking for the equation of a straight line parallel to the y-axis. Now, when it's parallel to the y-axis, what does this mean? Anybody can tell me? What does parallel to the y-axis mean? Why cannot type equation in TikTok? Yeah, because maybe TikTok never imagined having to use these formats. Gradient is 0, says Mr. Phenomenal. I will not comment yet. Anybody has any other questions? Anybody has any other answers? Parallel to the y-axis. So if it's parallel to the y-axis, guys, is it vertical or horizontal? If it's parallel to the y-axis, vertical So the gradient here should be infinity. So, wow, infinity how to put infinity inside my equation? Might be the question you all might be asking because all this while for the last 1 hour, I've been talking about y equals to mx plus c, y equals to mx plus c. Tonight when I go to sleep also I will dream about y equals to mx plus c. But how now the line is vertical, man. It's parallel to the y-axis, is vertical. Then how? Okay, don't fear. Basically, right, even though we've been telling all the students, please go and memorize your y equals to mx plus c, y equals to mx plus c. The top students will know this. What is it they will know? They will know that for a vertical line, okay, I write it down. For a vertical line, the equation, EQN is equation, is in the format x equals to a. So for a vertical line, you don't use y equals to mx plus c. Okay? Then for a horizontal line, also you don't use y equals to mx plus c. For a horizontal line, gradient is 0, right? Equation is y equals to b. So a and b here are numbers A and b here are numbers. So we know that you look at a, b, c and d, guys. Look at a, b, c and d. Y equals to 4. Is this a vertical line or a horizontal line? Vertical. Vertical, I put V. X equals to 4. Is it a vertical line or horizontal line? It's a horizontal line. Y equals to 5. Vertical. X equals to 5. Horizontal. Okay? So, this one is out, this one is out. So, we are either going to take Y equals to 4 or Y equals to 5. Okay, let's draw it out. Let's draw it out and then we can call it a day. How to add page here? Let me add page. Okay, add page. So, y equals to 4. Okay, so I have my x-axis. Sorry, I have my y-axis, the vertical. Come on, iPad. I have the vertical y-axis and then I have the horizontal x-axis. Okay? I have the vertical y-axis and I have the horizontal x-axis, and I'm going to draw alamak, forgive me, I made a mistake. I write here for a vertical line, the equation is in the format x equals to a. Then I go and cancel out the x. Age must be catching up to me lah. Okay, anyway, let me try to retract that error. So y equals to 4 here is not a vertical line. Y equals to 4 is a horizontal line. X equals to 4 is a vertical line. Y equals to 5 is a horizontal line. X equals to 5 is a vertical line. So we cancel out A and C. Okay, so we're left with x equals to 4, x equals to 5. It says here that the straight line passes through the point 54. So this is going to be x equals to 4. Okay, and this is going to be maybe I use a different color lah. I'll use the same color, very boring. Sorry, today I take up a bit more time just to finish up this. Then this one will be, this is x equals to 4. This is x equals to 5. Okay, so the green line is x equals to 4, the red line is x equals to 5. Now, where is 5, 4? See, this is good for y'all who are pictorial. Y'all are you're more into looking visual. You're more visual. You're visual learners. 5, 4. So 5, 4 here, the x coordinate is 5. The y coordinate is 4. Okay, let's find this 5, 4. So 5, 4 should be where? Should be somewhere here. Okay, so if this is 4, dotted line, this will be 5, 4. Okay, this is what passes through the 0.54. So the 0.54 is over here. It's on the red line. It's on the red line. So the answer is x equals to 5. So remember, y equals to mx plus c, it is used for all your straight line equation. It's a straight line equation. I don't know how to say it. A straight line curve lah. But it's not a curve lah. It's a straight line. Okay, so all your straight lines, you will use y equals to mx plus c. But when you're talking about vertical lines and horizontal lines, you do not use y equals to mx plus c. Yeah, guys, you use x equals to a in the case of a vertical line and y equals to b in the case of a horizontal line. And you know that for a line to be parallel to the y-axis, it has to be a vertical line. So you are using x equals to a. In this case, you are going to use x equals to 5 because they tell you it passes through the point 5, 4. Okay lah, that's all for today. Thank you for those of y'all who stayed and listened to me for the last 1 hour. I hope that it has been of some benefit to you. So next week, same time, same place, we are going to go through another topic in secondary school maths. Okay, bit by bit, hopefully, those of y'all who are listening in, hopefully there is some benefit to you and you are improving in terms of your maths. If there's nothing else, this is Coach Nawaz signing off. Okay, it's been a pleasure going through coordinate geometry with you all for the last 1 hour. That's all for today. Good night.